look at Floyd. Like, Floyd spends money like it's a tap. Like, he's got a tap, just like unlimited amount of money. Money's just flowing. And even as much money as he's made in his career, which he's probably made as much, if not more money than any boxer ever. Like, there's all these lawsuits. Like, he hasn't been paying things, and he owes money on this and owes money on that. And it's like, and then he's got to come out of retirement.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah.
That's tough. I think it's just the lifestyle that Floyd lived.
Yes.
I think he can't fathom to just live a modest lifestyle. It's like he gotta be lavish.
Right. He's got to have those videos where he shows you all the watches, where he opens the case up, you know.
All the money. You gotta show that he got $1 million in his backpack. And, you know, he got the latest watch and the latest car, and look what I just bought.
And when you get into latest watches and latest cars, you get into that, like, boy, that money goes quick.
Yeah.
Bugattis are like 3 million. There's watches that are 3-5 million. That's crazy. So you buy a watch and a car, you're down 10. That's nuts.
Joe Rogan didn't keep quiet when Floyd Mayweather's real estate claims came up. He openly questioned them during the podcast, leaning forward and saying, "Wait a second, that math just doesn't add up."
And one of the reasons why people watch him fight is not because he's like Mike Tyson, just goes out and destroys people. They like watching him fight because they hate him. Because he talks so much shit, and he's like, look at my $1 million watch, look at my fucking jet, look at my house, look at this. He's like constantly showing you all these things that he has. Like, he'll lay out watches in a hotel bed, like, this is $1 million worth of watches. This watch goes for $2 million. And they're like, this is my small watch that I take sometimes, but I want to show you, when I show up, I bring out the big boy, and it brings out this watch that's covered in diamonds, like $5 million. And so you hate
Floyd owes like $1.4 million in jewelry debts, that Floyd owes like hundreds of thousands of dollars in rent for a private New York apartment. His private jet fuel, he's not paid hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of fuel and maintenance. He put up one of his jets that I think he even sold, but one of his jets, and I want to say one of his properties, like one of his homes, up as collateral for a $54 million loan from a individual, from a billionaire, that had a 9% interest on the loan.
Joe Rogan questioned the entire narrative surrounding Floyd Mayweather Jr., who claims to own dozens of buildings worth tens of millions of dollars. Rogan pointed out that making flashy statements about wealth is very different from having verified assets that actually prove those claims.
Owes money to the IRS. How much does he owe?
It's in the $20+ million range.
It's a lot of money, man.
But it's not something that he's been, it's not like deception.
No.
It's just neglect to pay.
Neglect. And it's also like, I think, and there is like a truth to this, he makes so much money, there's probably a point when they're like, hey, it's time to pay your taxes. And you go like, all right, here's a check for $25 million. That's an incredible amount of money. And then they go, that's true, but you owe 50 more. And he's just like, that can't be right. I've given you $25 million.
Yeah, he's bought over 100 luxury cars from the same dealer and always pays in cash.
He has $15 million worth of cars.
Congrats.
That's where the conversation starts to get interesting, because Floyd built his entire Money Mayweather persona around the image of endless wealth, huge stacks of cash, luxury watches, and a financial empire that looked completely untouchable. However, reports circulating in the business world suggest that the reality behind those claims might be far more complicated.
Mayweather is made, and because he's the best in the history of pay-per-view at making sure that the money ends up in his pocket. He is or has been a businessman as an athlete that almost doesn't have a peer because he owns all his own stuff as an independent. Your spending has to be so fiscally irresponsible to lose the amount of money that Floyd Mayweather has lost that it is almost beyond anything that is reason. It's not merely fiscal insanity. It's something that doesn't make any sense to me.
Right. And another sign of him maybe in financial trouble is, as of February 2026, Floyd Mayweather has initiated a massive $340 million lawsuit against Showtime Networks and former executive Steven Espinoza. So he's trying to get some bread right now.
The estimate is that he made over $1.2 billion over the course of his career in just earnings from money.
According to Business Insider, 2 of Floyd Mayweather's commercial properties have already gone into foreclosure, and there were also reports suggesting that his Las Vegas strip club building was at risk of being seized due to unpaid property taxes. Along with that, several lawsuits have claimed that expensive watch and jewelry bills were left unpaid, allegations that Floyd has strongly denied. As a result, the discussion has shifted from his usual boasting about wealth to growing questions and scrutiny regarding his financial situation.
Things that they said in this article were insane. That Floyd owes like $1.4 million in jewelry debts, that Floyd owes like hundreds of thousands of dollars in rent for a private New York apartment, his private jet fuel. He's not paid hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of fuel and maintenance. He put up one of his jets that I think he even sold, but one of his jets and I want to say one of his properties, like one of his homes, up as collateral for a $54 million.
The outlet also reported that 2 Trump Las Vegas condos were briefly seized because of unpaid taxes before being returned once the payment was made. In addition, a huge $54 million loan was said to be secured using his homes, private jet, and several businesses as collateral. Whether this situation comes from exaggeration or simple misunderstanding, the contrast between his public image of wealth and these reports has clearly sparked debate. Joe Rogan's earlier skepticism about Floyd's financial empire had already stirred the discussion a little. Then Chael Sonnen jumped into the conversation like someone grabbing a microphone and ignoring any need for subtlety. He essentially looked at the entire "Is Floyd broke?" headline and asked, "Why are we acting like this is surprising?
What's wrong with that? And why are we attempting to tease Floyd? Is Floyd? Yes, he's broke. Of course he's broke. He's a boxer that they say can't read. That's not to tease him. They say that he can't read. His best friend at the time said that he can't read, and he never denied it. I don't tease him for it. He was a guy who grew up in a boxing town, right? It's one of these things. You know what you know. You know what you were taught. I didn't teach him about contracts. I didn't teach him about saving. I didn't teach him about investments. Who would have taught him these things? Of course he's broke.
He flips the question back to the audience, saying, "If you wake up and go to work every week because you need money, why would it suddenly be strange for a boxer to keep fighting for the same reason?" Hearing that, it feels like classic Chael logic, part blunt honesty and part trolling energy. But he doesn't stop there. Chael begins breaking down the myths around boxing paydays, explaining that the billion-dollar earnings claims and massive pay-per-view numbers often come from promotional press releases instead of publicly verified financial records. He even points out that no one from the companies actually processing the pay-per-views has confirmed those huge figures. That statement alone throws serious doubt on years of boxing hype narratives.
He's a gambling addict. He's got baby mamas all over the place. What do you mean is he broke? Of course he's broke. What boxer do you know that isn't broke? What a ridiculous question. But it's the fact that they're attempting to tease him. I mean, first off, they're asking the question. Look, I've told you until I'm blue in the face. The numbers that you hear in boxing simply aren't true. Floyd made $1 billion. No, he didn't. Floyd and Conor made $500 million. No, they didn't. Of course they didn't. Nobody's ever confirmed that. And it's the same thing with the check. I got $100 million for a fight. Oh, you did? Who signed the check? Whoever signed the check is going to want credit for it. There's never been a time that $1 million check was written and the dude that wrote the check didn't make sure that somebody found out he wrote the check. So who wrote the check? Floyd's got a whole bunch of them, apparently. He got $1 billion. Who wrote the check?
At the same time, Chael isn't only criticizing Floyd, he's taking aim at the entire way sports finances are often portrayed. He then shifts to the confusion around contracts, explaining that Floyd announcing several fights around the rumored Tyson matchup would frustrate any promoter. In the fight business, timing and exclusivity are extremely important. That's where the irony becomes clear, as Chael points out Floyd accusing Showtime of questionable business practices.
And I'm only sharing with you, like, the numbers aren't what you think they are, right? The numbers are good, and they made a lot of money, but it's not what you think it is. And yeah, of course Floyd's broke. Would you be boxing if you weren't? And it's very tough to be sympathetic.
While critics point out that Floyd's own promotion caused similar confusion with Logan Paul, the narrative quickly turns into a hall of mirrors where everyone sees someone else as the villain. Yet Chael unintentionally highlights a funny contradiction. People may question Floyd's finances, doubt his paydays, argue over contracts, or dismiss exhibition fights. But the moment Mayweather's name appears on a fight poster, the entire combat sports world stops and pays attention.
Mayweather owes Logan Paul $1.3 million. No, he doesn't. Just to clear that up, no, he doesn't. Will Logan ever get the money? I think Floyd's broke. Floyd does not owe Logan $1.3 million. Floyd's promotion owes Logan $1.3 million. And no, of course he's not going to get it. That promotion's already shut down. Allegedly.
JL Sonnen already threw gasoline on the whole Floyd might be broke debate. Then Jason Whitlock and the panel jumped in, turning the discussion into a full-blown round of financial detective work, and I'm sitting there thinking, wow, we've officially gone from fight analysis to forensic accounting with boxing gloves on. Whitlock kicks things off by leaning into Shannon Sharpe and Oasis's theory that Floyd's unretirement is really about chasing a massive payday. The moment names like Canelo, Manny Pacquiao, and Terence Crawford get mentioned, the business angle becomes obvious. Shannon points out that only those fights could bring in the kind of money Floyd might want. That's not just speculation, it's basically the celebrity super fight menu. Then Whitlock drops a Rocky movie reference, "Why do you fight?" And suddenly the conversation takes a surprisingly philosophical turn in the funniest way.
Shannon Sharpe and Ocho Cinco suggested on their podcast that Floyd Mayweather is talking about coming back, unretiring.
He is.
Because he's broke.
Yeah.
Let's play the clip here of Shannon Sharpe and Ocho Cinco.
There are only 3 fights that Floyd can have that can command and get the kind of money he's looking to recoup for money that may have been lost, or money that may have been stolen, or money he may have spent, to date. For one, a rematch with Canelo. That's one fight.
Canelo too big.
Listen to me, Unc. We talk about making that money. He ain't gonna have no choice.
Because, yeah, Floyd built an entire brand around the idea that money equals success, literally changing his nickname from Pretty Boy to Money. Whitlock points out the brutal irony. When your entire image is tied to wealth, any rumor of financial trouble becomes a headline hurricane. Dre adds a more grounded perspective, saying, the real issue isn't what Floyd earned, it's what we don't know about liquidity, assets, liabilities, taxes, and lifestyle. Essentially, the financial iceberg beneath the flashy Instagram photos. Meanwhile, the panel cracks jokes about gamblers going broke, IRS bills, and luxury spending, turning Floyd's career from a victory lap into a complicated puzzle. Here's the part that's funny. While half the panel questions the sense of watching a nearly 50-year-old fighter return to the ring, the other half quietly acknowledges what every fight fan knows. If Floyd actually announces a bout with Crawford, Canelo, or even Pacquiao again, everyone arguing about it now will still be watching when the bell rings.
$1 billion and he's 47 years old and he's completely broke. He's won the prize. This is, of all the idiots that we've seen out there, celebrities, actors, entertainers that have lost a lot of money, this guy would take the cake. To blow a bill before he even hits 50 is unimaginable. It actually is sad. It's a cautionary tale. We have seen it time and time again. But who actually wants to watch this guy fight? Like, people that love him. If he comes out and if he loses and looks terrible and gets destroyed, well, look, if you love him or hate him, you can say, well, he's nearly 50 years old. This doesn't prove.
Whitlock and the panel had already turned Floyd's comeback story into a full-blown financial courtroom drama. Then Andre Ward enters the conversation, and the tone shifts immediately, from hot take speculation to fighter-level reflection. The contrast hits differently. Ward starts by reminding everyone that he's always respected Floyd's work ethic, and I'm nodding because that often gets lost when people only focus on the flash. Ward explains that the glitz, the cars, the jets, all of it, was part of the Mayweather brand. But underneath, there was always a gym rat who never skipped the grind. When Ward admits he feels conflicted about this comeback, you can sense the honesty. He's not attacking Floyd like the rumor mill has. He's highlighting something deeper. Boxing becomes part of your identity. The adrenaline, the attention, and the massive fight night paychecks create a feeling that ordinary life simply can't replicate.
Part of that is because of the way Floyd Mayweather goes about his business. He's been filthy rich. He's made his name. his legacy and a lot of his reputation wasn't just the boxing, it was the money. It's the money man. What I have, what I'm driving, what I'm living in, what I'm flying in. And a lot of people, they don't like that. I don't know if Floyd Mayweather had more supporters for most of his fights or more haters. But regardless of where you fall on that line, Floyd Mayweather made it work for him when many people, promoters included, networks included, early on didn't think he.
That's the kind of insight only a former champion can provide. Then Ward shifts to the Pacquiao rematch, and suddenly the analyst in me perks up again. He points out something interesting. Older fighters can sometimes produce more action because they can't rely on constant movement like they once did. Less foot speed, more exchanges. Just that idea alone flips the narrative that this fight would automatically be boring. But the tension Ward keeps returning to is the real danger of age. Your mind still thinks you're the same fighter, while your body quietly disagrees. That one line alone explains half the tragedies boxing has ever seen. Yet even as Ward admits he'd rather see both legends relaxing on a beach, enjoying retirement, he also concedes that curiosity wins out. When two icons with unfinished history step back into the ring, the entire fight world watches, whether we plan to or not.
He's gonna watch a fighter. He'll say he don't watch him, but he'll watch any potential opponent over and over and over, and he has to process, can he do anything with me? How does my skill set line up with his? Can I beat him? The problem with being 49 years of age is sometimes your brain can see things and tell you things that your body's not in agreement with. That's the problem with age. Your brain is still saying, I'm him. Your brain is still saying, man, I'm Money Mayweather. Man, these youngsters can't deal with me. But your body is saying, brother, we can't do it like that anymore.
Stepping back and observing this whole situation from a distance, it almost feels like four completely different worlds colliding at once. Joe Rogan questions the narrative of Floyd Mayweather's financial empire. Shiel Sonnen tears apart the myth of boxing paydays. Whitlock's panel breaks down the business and lifestyle side of the story. And then Andre Ward adds the fighter's perspective, reminding everyone that boxing gets under your skin in a way money alone never can. Some argue Floyd's comeback is about chasing another massive payday, while others insist the financial rumors are overblown. Ward's insight quietly highlights that fighters sometimes return not for money but for the spotlight, the competition, and the adrenaline, things ordinary life can't replicate. The real tension lies in legacy versus longevity, business versus passion. Whether people see Floyd as chasing money, history, or simply the thrill of being Money Mayweather again, the debate itself proves his impact. Everywhere you look, people are analyzing, arguing, and dissecting every angle of his comeback. That's the magnetic pull legends always have on the sport.
That's the struggle and that's the danger of coming back at this age. So part of me wants to see these guys continue to make money. Part of me wants to see these guys, how do they do it at this age? Man, show me something. Show me how your mind can overtake the deficiencies you may have in your body at your age. But the deeper part of me, man, I want to see Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao on a beach somewhere, living off the fruits of their labor, helping the game however they see fit to help the game, and just watching the next generations do what they do. But hey, we got to fight September 19th.
Now I want to hear from you. Do you think Floyd Mayweather's return is about chasing money, pure love for the sport, or unfinished business with Manny Pacquiao? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We want to hear your take. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the Boxing Stories. Catch you in the next one.